You're on CarTorque with Matty J in the studio with Alan and James from Memphis Movies. What's happening, guys?
Not much. How you going?
All right, mate. All right. How are you, Alan?
Pretty good. Yeah. How you doing?
How you doing? No, I'm good, man. I'm good. Busy with work and you know how it is, dude. Pretty flat out. Trying to get life in order. Interesting show tonight, James. Not gonna lie, I listened to it on my way here.
Oh, thank you.
It was really good. But we got also Anthony, Mr. XL6 Turbo on his way. He should be here any moment. Tonight I was gonna talk about a few different things, but you still got the i30, Alan?
Yes, I do. I actually received a call today from the repair company.
Uh-huh.
They let me know that my Suzuki, or White Turd, was finally ready.
What the White Turd?
And interestingly, it was around 2:30, and I was in Clayton at the time. And she said, well, you can come get the car back, but you need to give the rental car back before 4:30. I said, there's no way in hell I'm going to make it back in a truck while I'm still doing some work to the car and then give it back and then come to you, in 2 hours.
There's no chance.
It's not going to happen. And she's like, well, that's fine. You can give it in tomorrow morning. And there's no extra charge.
That's pretty good.
I've got essentially an extra evening with the car, which, I'm actually sad to think about that I have to get this car back.
Yeah.
Because we talked about it on the podcast when we did the mini review while we were at Custom Cars and Coffee. It's been a great little car. And I could definitely see myself owning one just as a daily.
Yep.
So it's thinking of, giving this back and then having to drive a Suzuki around. I'm not very keen.
Tad bit of a downgrade.
Yeah. No, more than a tad, I'd say.
Just get into another accident.
Slam your brakes in the middle of the road.
You can do it like what was that movie with Will Smith and Margot Robbie? Put the helmet on, just slam the car, and make sure you don't get hurt with the helmet.
Oh,
and then just that's what you got to do sometimes. Not that we're condoning, because that is insurance fraud, I believe.
In Mexico.
Just hope somebody else hits your car while it's parked. Maybe they're driving a Ford Everest, and it'll be their fault, and no one gets hurt, and you get a new car.
He's always about that hustle, isn't he, Alan?
Yeah.
Legit. Oh man, that's killing me. But overall, though, performance-wise, and like, as we spoke about, like on the other podcast, bang for your buck, it's pretty outstanding value.
Yeah, real outstanding, and I don't think there's something else on the market. Possibly a Kia Rio of similar spec.
I mean, I've been in the latest Rio, not as nice as the i30. Definitely not as nice as the i30. The materials in the i30 feels like a more solid car, whereas the Rio still it's like a really good car. I mean, you're getting a 7-year warranty with that, but it's not as, I don't think it's as well put together as the Hyundai is. I mean, the i30s are their kind of their bread and butter car. Like they do small cars and they really do them well now. So they've come a long way since the old 6L days. But in terms of where Kia sits, the Rio's a really good car. I've been in the new Picanto as well, which is the baby, the Ultra Mini that they sell. So that's a small car, but surprisingly quite roomy inside. Gutless, but roomy. But yeah, in comparison, the i30 is a lot nicer car, and there's a lot more tech in it too.
Yeah. I was surprised by the amount of tech. Even just the mirrors folding in when you lock the car. Just nice stuff that you don't have to do yourself.
It's that well, Tyrone get this. This is how cheap Ford is. Ford on Tyrone's Ford Ranger, you can press a button and your mirrors go in. Yeah, he had to buy an adapter so when he locks it with his car, they go in.
What?
Yeah.
Isn't that car ridiculously expensive?
Yeah, it's like 60-some grand car. And the fact that the car can do it, it's just that
you just have to buy a...
They'd just be like, oh, you know what? Probably not. We won't let you do that. So he had to. It's always like a plug and play thing, and as soon as he locks it, it goes closes.
Jesus.
Ford. Ford.
It's one of those things of you kind of appreciate that a lot of cars these days are made in such a manner that a lot of their upgrades are such small things where if there's somebody going hard in the aftermarket, you can get that part and get your car doing the same thing that a higher spec car will do.
Yeah.
For less money. At the same time, when you think about it, why do that as the manufacturer? Why are you going to be an asshole?
But see, that's the thing with most cars. Like say for example, we're going back to like mid '90s, mid 2000s. Most poverty pack cars had all the wiring there for like the electric windows, had it all in there. It's just they didn't put the switch or put the electric motor. It's just all plug and play. So James, with your car, you got wind ups.
Yeah.
All your loom, because I was speaking to someone about this with the laser and with the SP, the Ascending GT crew. All the wiring's there. You just kind of you can just change your door cards, get the switches, and get the regulator and motor in your suite.
But how much extra would they charge you?
Oh, it could be called what's called a tech pack, what it used to be
Yeah.
called back in the day. So that'd be probably like $2,000.
Yeah, but you
And
could do it yourself.
oh yeah, dude, it's a freaking joke.
Far out.
It's all about getting you to move up to that higher model.
Yeah, it's a scam.
Oh, it's the biggest scam. But I mean, if it wasn't for the Mustang the original Mustang, yeah. So the original Mustang really kind of brought forward. You can have a Mustang, but you can get it in a million different variants. So if you want to get if you just want to get your foot into a Mustang, you're only going to get a 6-cylinder. You're going to get crappy seats. You're going to get nothing. They introduced what was called options, like proper options, and like really pushed the option barrier further to what we have today. So we can pretty much blame the Mustang for that.
Well,
Like,
blame everything on Ford.
Screw you, Ford.
in one way, you can see the benefit of it possibly lowers the entry barrier into the car, where you can get the same car for quite a bit less money, where you would either had the choice of not being able to afford it at all, or being getting the premium pack.
But I think cars have come that far that it's just
It shouldn't be as much of a thing anymore.
Yeah.
For example, my dad's Ford Falcon. It's a 2007 car. The back windows
Wind-ups.
are wind-ups. Why do you do that? The car has automatic headlights, and yet the back windows have to be wound up by hand. Like, that's some bullcrap if I've ever seen it in a car.
Definitely.
Well, Anthony's at the front. James, can you go open a door for him? Because he is cold outside. Oh, actually, you know what, James, let him freeze. Let him freeze.
He can freeze till the ad
He can
break.
stay out there. I'm just going to stay.
Yeah, he can stay till
You shouldn't have said that because I was going to let him in. Now you're like, oh, he's cold. I'm like, who cares? No, I'll go get him.
He can stay till the ad break out there. Jeez, I'm an arsehole, aren't I? Yeah. But yet, my mum's old e-gas was an XT. Auto headlights, front electrics, no wind-up rears. But the fact is, the wiring was all there for it. So my mum's auto was like, would you like me to put them in for you? She's like, at this point, I don't care. No one sits in the back seat anymore because it's not really a family. Like it's
It's very interesting that you mentioned that.
all there, dude.
So if I was to go to
Let's
one
say
of our favourite, auto wreckers, the one
Yep.
we do it yourself,
yes,
I could theoretically just get the door cards and
the regulator and the switch, and you're sorted.
wow.
Mr. XR6 Turbo was in the building. What is happening, Anthony?
Oh, not much, guys. A little bit late, but we all know how I am. I'm always late.
You're always late.
And he's
Except when it
wearing
comes
his
to
bloody slippers. No wonder he's cold outside.
His Domokun slippers.
He's got bare
I
feet.
legitimately
JDM AF.
I literally am wearing slippers for people that are listening, so yeah.
No socks, just slippers.
Yeah.
But the bigger question is, Anthony, are the Kievs in the kitchen? Did you put them in the kitchen in the oven
Well, the funny thing is,
before you left?
no. Actually, Matt's going down to the gym, but we do have Kievs left over from last night, so the Kievs will be in the oven tonight.
Nice.
I had Kievs for lunch today. It was pretty good.
They always hit the spot.
They
They're
did.
on special down at Coles, people, just so everybody knows. They're half price for a 4-pack, so it's a pretty good $5 to get a couple of meals out of it.
Jeez, we're giving Coles a bloody plug now. I'm so losing my job on community radio.
It was inevitable.
Yeah, it's going to happen.
And let's be honest, of all people who would cause you to lose your job, let's get
Yeah, I mean, you're going to being a cop now. It's going to give us car enthusiasts a hard time just because you can. You're becoming one of them, Anthony.
maybe.
Maybe. he
Respect my authority.
Pigs aren't welcome here.
said. Stop resisting. Stop resisting.
Man down.
He's got a gun. It's a book.
I'll teach you how to read.
Yeah. Look, we're going to go to our first song of the night. We're going to, as we play on community radio and Aussie artists, and I've been a big fan of George Maple. She's just dropped her latest album, and the album's called Lover. So I'm going to play the song titled from the title, Lover. Really, really cool, slow song. She's got quite an interesting voice. Definitely worth a listen. So support Aussie artists. But here's Lover with George Maple. You're back on CarTorque with Matty J. Still in the studio with Alan, Anthony, and James from Everest Movies. I took the F6 out yesterday. I drove it to work.
Did anything break?
No.
Okay.
Nothing breaks, dude. Okay.
Go on.
The oil pressure switch for the gauge was a bit loose. That was the only thing that's gone wrong with the car, honestly, in the last... besides the clutch on its way, everything else is okay.
I thought there were engine mounts changed.
Yeah, but that's just wear and tear. I don't classify that as a failure.
Wear and tear, huh?
What's like your brakes? Do you classify brakes as a failure?
No, but I expect... How many Ks are on the car?
120.
120. I expect engine mounts to last longer than that.
No,
That's pretty standard.
That's pretty standard, I'd say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe I should get my Falcon checked.
How many Ks your Falcon on?
About 130.
Oh, really? Is that it?
Yeah.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
What year is it?
2007.
Bloody hell. Have you guys driven it?
We average about 10,000 Ks a year.
Okay.
Probably check those engine mounts.
Probably should.
Not a bad move.
But then again, it doesn't have a lot of...
I'm pretty sure the transmission mount needs to just change it though, because occasionally when you shift it from park to drive, it's quite a bit of a clunk, and things move around.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Or you do
things
pushes.
move that shouldn't move.
But yeah, I took it yesterday, and being Melbourne, it's taken a turn for the cold. I don't mind the cold. I prefer the cold than the heat, to be honest.
Cold's for boost.
Exactly right. So I took it to work and left late work last night. Got on the freeway, and after about 20 minutes of driving, got caught behind this car. I'm like, you know what? I dropped it down to third. I reckon the 80 to 120 on it is nuts. From like a low gear, I could literally, it was like warp speed past the guy in Mexico, of course, and it just surprised me like how much, like how torquey it is, and how much of a difference cold weather makes to the boost. I mean, the colder charge, it just made everything. It makes the car feel like it's got an extra like 20 horsepower. Like no BS, it feels more lively, and like I know people say, oh, cold temperatures do that, but you don't realize until you actually get up at that. It's wow, it makes such a difference.
A lot of times, my experience in cold weather is just the amount of induction noise and just blowing off. Like even at like low throttle, you just like psh, psh, everywhere. You just letting off just slightly after getting to the speed limit. It still whooshes, which is lovely.
Matt, you already know how my car is, so I mean that's just a given. You get that induction noise and that whooshing noise, 30-degree day, but let alone in the cold weather.
It's more prominent in cold weather.
Yeah, and now it's with the muffler delete and things of that nature too. But I think these days I'd probably have the equivalent of your third gear pull in mine in fifth.
Probably with after the tune.
Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's interesting you say that. We should have to try that out one day.
Yeah, well,
in Mexico, of course.
I wonder how that'll go in Mexico.
I'll come as chase car in the Rexy.
In Mexico. just got to clarify these points, people.
Everything in Mexico.
No, but it was good because I drive the laser every day to Werribee and back, and so it was good to get in the F6 and take it for a drive to work, and it gives it a good run as well. And just the power difference is ridiculous. I could actually overtake without even trying. I could keep it in sixth and overtake. But yeah, really, just it was a noticeable difference last night because it got to about 8 degrees, and it really just felt like a rocket ship. It felt good. I'm like, this is feeling a bit more of the boost. I'm like, bit of fun. But yeah, it definitely really. It made the car feel more lively, and I can see why when people want to dyno their cars, they try to go for winter because more boost up there. I got 30 more kilo wasps. But yeah, I thought I'd just put that one in there. But yeah, from again the 80 to 120 in that car is pretty bloody quick. It's a lot quicker than most V8s I've been in, so really puts in perspective how impactful weather conditions and the right gear is. But talking about right gear, do you reckon the Labor Party's in the right gear at the moment with their latest announcement if they get into Parliament? Well,
for the listeners out there that haven't heard the news,
and me, I haven't heard anything. So
Labor Party leader Bill Shorten has announced that
is he short? Like, is he actually short? Like, I don't know.
That's a terrible joke. like really.
Look, next time we meet him, we'll measure him up.
Should ask my dad because my dad met him there one time.
His name should be Bill Average Height.
Alright, keep going.
Continue.
Your dad's pretty short, but you and your brother are really tall.
My mum's not that tall though. It's
Your
weird.
mum's
Your mum's
You're
tall.
pretty tall.
I don't know what I'm talking about. I just
Like taller than my mum. I'm just using as an example.
As an example.
Alright, back on topic.
Back on topic.
anyway.
You're discussing people's heights here. I'm 5'8", if anyone wants to know. No,
Wait, you gonna put in the ladies?
ladies. But yeah, back on topic. If the Labour Party would win the next federal election, they have announced that they will, I guess, do their best to instate legislation where automakers have to share information with all automotive mechanics in Australia, and that's literally their wording, which I feel just implies to particularly how car computers work these days, and how a lot of things are done through the ECU. So just sharing, I guess, information and possibly products.
Yeah, products, tools.
Tools, yeah, to make sure they're as well equipped to repair somebody else's car as a dealership would be, which I think should already be a thing. I mean, you shouldn't have to choose between having your car, repaired correctly or having a choice between going to your mechanic, your favoured mechanic.
Well, my dad, for example, when he took the Territory for its first service up at Ford, I won't say which one, they charged him around, I think it was $400. But I was like, what the hell did you do to it for $400? He's like, oh, we changed the oil and filter and gave it a once over. He's like, are you kidding me? You cost me $400 for me to bring my car here to what any other mechanic could do for $120, $150. Sure enough, like the person at Ford was like, oh, you don't understand. He's like, no, I do understand. It's a car. A qualified mechanic is qualified to look at the car.
Yeah.
So he never took it back there again. He took it to our local, and but yeah, I think it's a big thing because like people just instantly have the assumption that if I've got to get this car, it must go to for example, say Ford or Holden or Mercedes, BMW, whatever, but just because they specialize in that car. Now I don't think most mechanics that have been in business a long time would know that obviously know differences between different cars. They build that up over time after viewing these cars. Now, if they had the ability and the technology now to say, okay, I've got this car, they've released this car, these are its major points where I can and the easiest way of access and easiest way of doing things, it'll make life a lot more proficient. It'll make the business boom. It'll give people that are, for example, young people like our age and younger, an incentive to get into the industry because there'd be work for the local mechanics. And I think that was one of the major points that Bill was trying to make. It's like this is a potentially try to get more people into TAFEs and into apprentice industries and trade industries. So it'd be beneficial to keep that economy moving and not just keep giving the money to the big guys and supporting the local mechanics.
And it's, I guess, the car industry is what it is, but a lot of times the auto manufacturers have always kind of treated independent repairers with a bit of contempt. Their idea of bringing out the cap price servicing was a way to kind of drown out the other businesses, just by saying, yeah, we'll service your car for $199 for the first 3 years, but then every single time you go there, they're going to upsell you power steering flush, some kind of upper engine cleaning, some other hogwash that you end up paying $400 for anyway. And that was just there. Well, we're going to cap the price of the servicing, but then we're going to threaten you by saying, oh, your power steering fluid looks a bit off, and if you want to maintain that warranty, we should probably get it changed. And then next thing you know, you're paying just as much as you were originally. The
fact of the matter is that if you're using genuine parts in your car, and you're getting it serviced as per the logbook, you do not void your warranty at all.
You don't, yep.
So, and that's what a lot of people don't understand. They think, oh, well, if I take it to anyone else, I think it's going to void my warranty. Because the car companies, they try and scare people by saying that, which is complete bullshit. Like, they shouldn't be allowed to do it.
And also just the fact of having, electronic instruments to plug into the cars as well, and having proprietary ones which only the dealerships have, makes it really difficult for anyone that's independent to try and, a lot of times you can diagnose standard kind of engine codes, but for more specific things, why should a person be forced to go to a dealership? If we have a system of qualification for an automotive mechanic, in Victoria and Australia, why should they be forced to go to a dealership because the mechanic doesn't have the right tool or isn't able to get access to the right tool to actually repair their car?
Yep, and I think that's a great point. For example, good friend of the show, Adam, with his Astra, he had to get his water pump done. Now, my mechanic spoke to he needed a special tool to remove it because it's unique to that car. So he called up around his local mechanics and said, have you guys got this tool? Because they always share amongst each other and give each other a chop out and be always happy to help. They said no. He called up Holden and asked if he could borrow the tool. Basically, they're like, no, you have to buy the tool. So the tool cost him, I think it was like $300 or so, or 200 something bucks. The pump cost $200, so he's essentially lost money on the price of the pump, and pretty much made barely any labor on the actual job. Now that's to me that's not fair. One, and two, I reckon they should be able to, for example, specific tools are for it's only for one engine. This tool, but it was for that car, so he didn't make any money on that. But now he's got the tool, so say for example, if he gets another one, which is, it's not a very common car that particular model with that particular engine. it's kind of just it's a waste of money. Whereas if they have like a lending business or like or
Leasing, something.
yeah, or have that so
Higher. Code's higher.
yeah. I mean, but like look,
But when you say that as well, tools are generally, especially when you're looking at professional grade, are always a bit pricey. But having some like
specific,
a really specific tool, which from what you've told me doesn't sound like it does anything incredible.
No,
it's just a bit of a wank to price it at $300.
It is.
And just and once again, it's they manufacture the car, so they have that tool right to and they get to choose whatever price they're going to sell it at, or just not sell it at all.
Yep. So
it's just ridiculous when you think about it.
It's an absolute utter joke, and I think that's why a lot of people pretty much just go to the dealership because they'll know they've got what they have. But now
That's what they want.
it's exactly what they want. So this is why I think if they get in, this is going to be a big thing and a big shake up, and a big middle finger really to the major car companies that have been scaring consumers for the last how many years. So I think it's going to really, really shake it up, and it'll be good. It'll be and it'll help out like the local mechanics. So like for example, our mechanic, he'd probably never get another 2.2 Astra in there. And the fact of the matter is
it'll be good for like share of information as well, because if they're no longer trying to compete by saying you have to come to the dealership, don't go to that guy. If it's like, oh no, just go to anyone, then it'll be like, when what we were talking about a couple of weeks ago, I think it was VW or someone, they had a like clutch problem, they had to recall. Yeah, they had to recall, but then there was another problem that they didn't know about, and they blamed all the drivers.
Oh, Ford Power Shift.
Oh, that was the Ford, yeah. So it's like, if that happened, all the mechanics could be like, hey, we're getting these same problems. Are you getting these problems?
Yeah.
Maybe it might be a fault with the whole line. Like, if they can communicate and not try to fight each other.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I think the VACC is in there to try and help out the local guy. But, I mean, if you've got a question, you can call them up and ask them, and they're happy to help. But the fact of the matter is that widespread problems like that, they need to be addressed regardless.
Yeah.
And if Ford's getting a bazillion recalls on them, why not outsource them to the local mechanic? Give them some work. Because essentially Ford's losing money on every one that they do. So.
Yeah, and I think two other things is it also opens up the doors to people that choose to fix their own cars and work on their own cars.
That's a fair point.
If independent mechanics are able to get this information, they're more likely to also be able to provide it to just regular people as well.
But here's the thing: do you reckon that they'd be willing to share that if you're not a qualified mechanic?
You'd have to find the right person to get the information off. I feel you'd have to be friends with the mechanic. I'm sure most of them would like to keep the work to themselves, but some of them would also understand, that they work on their own. People that work in dealerships as well. They sometimes bring in their own cars that they're not servicing through the dealership just to work on. Everyone kind of, works on it. Like I would possibly, with the new mechanic I'm working with, which is your mechanic, some things I'd probably do myself, some things I'd take to him. And with that kind of relationship, I feel he'd be willing to share information with me that he's getting from dealerships if things work out.
100%.
But secondly, as well, like the pricing structure is something else that they were talking about, the Labour government, that will probably bring down the pricing, which may be a fear factor for people working in dealerships. But given the amount you pay for a service, it's not going to the mechanic. The mechanic's probably getting paid less than they would be at an independent shop. Most of the money is being trickled to somebody who's already earning, $800,000 a year. And that's where a lot of the money just ends up going at a dealership.
Yep. And
you end up paying the $400, but the mechanic never sees anything close to that. So it's probably still going to, if anything, even things out for mechanics and get them paid better.
And I hope that they do too, because it is a dying industry. In terms of your local mechanic, they're still around, but they're not as prominent as they used to be. They used to be in every corner. Now they're kind of just few and far between.
Now it's just smash repairs everywhere.
Yeah. Yes. So that's a whole other kettle of fish that we probably shouldn't get into. Might get in a bit of trouble for that. But it'd definitely be a good thing, and I reckon, as I said, it's going to be a big shake and a big middle finger to all the big companies. And I reckon that the big companies would be a bit worried about that. So, but this is like stuff that the Motoring Enthusiast Party should have campaigned for.
Yeah, and it's not a thing that's totally isolated to the automotive industry either.
No, it's not.
Like the tech industry as well. Companies, particularly like Apple, love to try and shut down independent repair of their products, because Apple's idea of repair for a lot of products is, we're not going to fix it. How about you buy a new one?
Yeah.
And to a person that's got a decent amount of money, that's not really an issue. if they're particularly hardcore Apple fan, they'll just buy a new product. But
No, they're the ones that are waiting like 4 days.
yeah.
in the line with the tent and everything else. But there's a lot of people that they bought that one product, they need it to keep working, they can't afford to buy a new one. And if the manufacturer isn't going to help them, they're going to look for someone independent. And if you're trying to shut down the independent person, you know, like the dealerships trying to shut down independent mechanics, it's just bad for the consumer.
Yeah.
Well, look, a little bit. Look, I do agree in a lot of instances there as well. But there are also certain industries where companies make money off of those parts as well. So, I mean, for selling the product itself, initially, you know, they'll maybe breaking even or slightly above it, but they make their money back on their spare parts. So that's obviously when it gets to a little bit of a catch. I mean,
but see the fact that if they're still selling genuine parts to mechanics and to just normal consumers, they're still going to make their money.
Mm.
They probably won't make as much money in servicing and your repair costs because they're not doing the work, but they're still going to make money, you know, churning the parts out.
Yeah, again, it's still in that sort of plays a little bit into effect of each other because obviously they're losing out on the service, they're losing out on that level of income that they're able to make, which obviously keeps them afloat. But then, you know, that's always a possibility that then the initial purchase on the machinery or car or whatever it may be, there may be an increase there as a result of this, which I guess is sort of a little bit of a roll-on effect. You know, that's the only thing that's sort of coming to mind to be a possibility.
It'll be interesting regardless, I think.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, definitely be a really kind of... It'll be interesting for two reasons. Just to see if people would make that change back to their normal mechanic, or to see and the other change is to see if the dealerships are actually going to put reasonable and actually smart, like cost-effective pricing for normal consumers. Because let's be honest, what they charge for a normal service is ridiculous.
Mm.
I mean,
Agreed.
Even what
it might promote competition. They'll have to lower their prices if other mechanics can do the same thing now.
I mean, as I said to you, with my dad taking the territory, they're $400 for service for an oil change.
Yeah.
Mm.
Seriously, what the hell? That's ridiculous. Well, what are they putting gold in the engine? Like that's.
Yeah, it's you know, it's always that bit of a battle between different sides as well. I mean, you still want to, from a business side of things, you still want to make a profit, but you also don't want to be you know, driving down the price so it's unrealistic and not possible for a business to even function.
Yeah.
Because it does eventually get to a race of who can do the work for the cheapest, and that's how businesses go bust. And you know, everybody's like, oh, you know, I can take it down to Bob around the corner for $80 to do my service. You know, what's going to be so much better than yours? At the end of the day, you know, obviously there's going to be different products which are used and things of that nature as well. And you know, you pay what you get for.
Well, theoretically, Anthony, if you're buying genuine parts and genuine fields as per logbook, theoretically, time-wise, labor-wise, it should be cheaper. It should be the same as what dealerships charge if they were to charge it like at a normal rate.
Yeah, exactly. And look, that's the whole thing as well. I think it's a case of you know, dealerships definitely need to come down in price, and I wouldn't be surprised whether normal mechanics, if they start to possibly even go up a little bit in price, and get to a fair even ground between the two, which, you know, would obviously be beneficial for small businesses and things of that nature to get the amount of work which is going on. But even in saying that as well, it's better for the consumer to actually know that they're getting a reasonable price and reasonable service for it as well. And regardless whether it be from a dealer or from your local mechanic, that it's actually getting done right and the way it should be done to begin with.
That's the biggest issue, making sure that it is done right, because there is a lot of I'm not having a go, but like mechanics out there that, let's be honest, aren't that great.
Shouldn't be working on cars.
Should be, yeah. And it's a fact, yeah. Like there's no hiding about it. But for the good mechanics that actually, you know, that are honest and working real hard and don't take people for a ride and really want their business, you know, to succeed, this is like a good thing for them. And I think that, you know, it'll really help them flourish and hopefully, you know, keep their businesses afloat. But yeah, it's an interesting time. When is the election, by the way? It's coming up, isn't it?
They keep saying that they're going to force an early election because confidence in Turnbull is so low, and both sides are sort of
It's kind of tit for tat.
not campaigning, but they're like really. Both sides are working hard to say we're doing this, we're doing this. They're making like campaign promises, even though they're not technically campaigning.
Given the level of budget change that's come along,
was there anything beneficial though, like in this budget?
like $200 a year.
Yeah,
That's about
It depends on which way you look at it.
Yeah, I mean, Liberal Party's definitely they're trying to get in everyone's good books, and that's why another reason why people think they're going to go to election soon is because it's like, all right, we'll please both sides. That way, we'll win next time. Whereas in reality, they don't really care about a certain, most people.
Communists. Yes.
Everyone forgets that Turnbull's a banker.
Yeah.
I can't believe... I don't know.
Well, you say that, like, even though this is country politics, there is another country that they literally voted in a billionaire who's never lived a day of, adversity in his life, so...
But I feel like, Turnbull is, a lot better than Trump, but like, you still have to go... How much?
We've got
like,
the equivalent.
Much? Yeah, like, it's like he's not really that good. He's terrible.
At the end of the day,
I mean, the only difference is he's not an orange Twitter troll.
True.
Well, look, this is CarTorque, so
not politics,
not
but
politics talk. But yeah, honestly, something needs to be done, and I reckon if Bill gets in, it'll be a good shake.
Billy Shorts,
get around him, for the industry. So for people getting around Turnbull, get around him, get around Shorts.
Don't get around Turnbull. Don't. I straight up don't care. I'll tell people.
As a community radio station,
yes, we're gonna be.
I'm biased. I'm not gonna. I'm not gonna be.
We'll say this: vote for who you want to vote for, as long as
as
long as you have seen what their policies are and what they intend on doing with the country.
Actually, yeah, that's a good thing. Like, do your research. Don't just talk to the local fish and chip guy and be like, "Hey, who are you voting for?" Which is what my friend did, and then voted for Tony Abbott.
Don't just grab the first pamphlet you see at the voting booth and vote that way.
Have a think, guys.
Yeah, exactly.
It's your country. I mean,
don't just think about how it's going to affect you. How's it going to affect the country as a whole? Like, you're not just the only person who lives here. I think a lot of people think that way.
Yeah. Look, we've got to get to a next break, and we'll be right back after this. You're back on CarTorque with Matty J. Good politic discussion during the break. It was.
Yeah.
I mean, this is CarTorque, but it's going to be turning into.
It affects all of us, and people are just like, "Oh well, that's how the country is." Oh well, and it's like, no, your vote makes a difference.
I mean, look what happened in the States.
Exactly.
So that's if
same
that's not a clear indicator
same thing happened here.
Yeah, it did
Twice.
Twice.
People are just like, "Oh well, that's how it is." I'm not really interested in politics. It doesn't really affect me.
Reality is it affects
everybody. It affects everyone.
Anyway, what can you do? What can you do?
He's looking for a comeback from the motoring enthusiast party.
Oh,
Ricky me up for the win. Oh man, represent. How are your cars going anyway, Alan? I know one's at the shop, but the WRX, we're getting a battery for that. That's going to come back alive again.
Yes, we are.
Did that die again?
Yeah, I think the battery just had it. A lot like. I've owned the car for over 3 years now, and the battery was whatever it was when it came, when I purchased the car. So I'm assuming the battery is somewhere around at least 5 years old.
Okay.
Could even be up to 7. But I'm guessing in the range of 5 to 7 years. And batteries can last a surprisingly long time, especially if you just keep the car running almost daily. Yeah. It's when they get to that kind of really 4 to 5 year point, if you let the battery die, then the battery is going to have a hard time coming back from that. Whereas within the first 2 years or so, if you let the battery die a couple of times, it doesn't really care, But when the battery does start getting old, as long as you don't let it die, you should be fine. But the moment you let it kind of go, it's going to go.
Yeah, no. I had just an SCA battery in the Laser, which I bought with the car. Like it came with, I don't know, it was probably a year or two old by that point. I changed it after I owned the car for 6 and a bit years. So. And that was with a crazy sound system in it as well. So did its job. It was still starting the car, but it was getting really, really lethargic, and the start was like really, really slow. I'm like, yeah, I probably should change this. I tested it at work, and it was cold cranking out, so pretty low.
I'm pretty sure I need to change the 6s. That's definitely done.
Definitely done.
Well, it was getting to the point when if I didn't drive the car for a day, it would need a jump start. But then magically after I had my car tuned, it all seems to be fine.
That's weird.
Maybe there's a parachute
Yeah.
drawer on it or something. They
Yeah.
got fixed up.
That's weird.
No idea.
So what? After the tune, it's been alright.
Yeah. Yeah.
What?
Yeah, like I can obviously I can drive the car once a week and it's fine, but if I didn't drive the ute for a week prior to the tune, it needed jump start.
Because the car's making more power low down. Just turn the alternator faster. It's charging the battery more. Science.
Science, yeah, science, bitch. You know that meme guy? Oh, gee, that's embarrassing.
Yeah. Bizarre.
Bizarre. That's weird. That's freaking weird. How's your car going? It's back at the shop getting those.
Yeah,
touches
back at the
done?
shops. Dropped it off last Thursday or thereabouts, so getting a few little hiccups fixed up. So there was a spot on the roof that had the roof resprayed, so a few spots on the roof getting touched up. There was some wind behind the dash, so it wasn't quite sealed right, so getting that sorted. iPod for some reason was recognising, but wasn't having any sound produced, which
That was weird. I saw that.
which was bizarre.
It was even playing on the screen and everything. But
Yeah, it was playing on the screen, going to the next song, volume all recognising, but just no sound being produced. But it was fine on normal FM radio, no problem. Just for some reason, iPod wasn't actually producing any sound. And that was with different iPods in there as well, so it wasn't just one in there. And that
weird.
iPod was working fine in my work territory at the moment, so that's weird. Mentioned the driver's window to them, how it was making a knocking noise. It sounded like it was hitting some plastic, which is not quite aligned right.
Yeah.
I did take them for a drive in the car to see if they could feel that vibration or whatever it was that was going on in it. But at that time, as it always is, when you go and take it to somebody to actually show them what the issue is, it never actually
Never happens.
eventuates. But they said they're going to go over it and have a look at it. That was the main concern.
Yeah.
And as long as that gets sorted, it should pretty much be everything. The panels were all fine, paint job was all fine.
It was a good paint job, actually. Really good.
So they've done a very much a bang up job on it. But hopefully it's all back to piece. Oh, sorry, back the way it should
Back
be.
to pieces.
Yeah, I'm sure it is in pieces at the moment, but hopefully it's back to pre-accident condition
Or as close
after
to.
this time, or as close as it can be to it. Which is why we all have insurance. Hopefully, everybody who's listening.
Yes.
And if you don't get insurance, at least third party.
Yeah, minimum.
Yeah, because if you're owned to my car, I'll be very pissed, and you'll know about it.
Yes, 100%.
Dash
And
cam
you-
these days.
You'll be paying it off for the next couple of years.
Yes, with
So-
more than just money.
So, Anthony, what would happen there? So, if someone hits you without insurance, and you'd be like, well, I'm going to call my insurance, and they're going to come after you.
So in that instance, as long as you have insurance, what would happen would be
Do you still have to pay an excess? That'd be BS because, like,
I don't believe you do.
they've hit you, and you've got their details.
well, as long as you've got their details, I think initially you would have to pay an excess to obviously lodge the claim and follow up for it, but they would then chase the other person for the repair damages, things of that nature, and obviously the excess component of it as well, or something along those lines. But I mean, that's again why we all have insurance, so that somebody else is doing it as opposed to he said, she said, which again, I'm sure you can tell what's sort of going on, but I guess if somebody's reversed into at a car park and doesn't have insurance, it's going to be pretty hard to tell who did what.
Well, I mean, that's what happened to my brother. So when he had his Ranger, he was at a certain shopping centre and backed out, and was backing out. Saw no one there, so went out slowly with his reverse camera. Then another car reversed as well, and they bumped into each other. He funny enough, hit a Forester, which he now owns. Not the same one, obviously. They come out like
He took that guy's car as compensation.
I got the jiggly legs and the shingles.
I'm gonna need to. He's like, you don't have insurance. I'm gonna need your car.
I got the whipper splash.
Well, look, in that instance, that's each party bears own situation.
And this is the thing, like they're like to my brother, these are our details. He was like, yep, we'll sort it out. Is it get insurance to sort it out? So my brother calls insurance, explain what happened. They're like, that's you're both kind of at fault. Now my brother had a full ARB kit on his Ranger, so it wasn't a scratch on it. The guy's Forester was pretty, like, a big dent in it. Anyway, they call my brother saying, basically, it's your fault. He's like, well, no, I called my insurance, and my insurance said it's neither of us. We're both kind of at fault here, so it's just we just go our own way and buy your own repair. They're like, oh, well, we don't have insurance, so you're gonna have to pay for our car. And he's like, well, that's your problem. So he's like, you got a problem? Speak to my insurance. And he hung up the phone. Never heard from him again. But yeah, it pays to have insurance, regardless of anything like that.
Exactly.
I mean, if you don't have insurance, like I always ask if I'm driving someone's car if it's got insurance. If it doesn't have insurance, I refuse to drive it. Like, just of anything that could happen, and you don't know. I mean, yeah.
Well, look, have a look at half the cars that are getting around these days. You know, you got Lambos, you got Ferraris, you got Mercs, you got Beamers. You know, whatever it may be. You know, if you're driving around and you think, oh, you know, my car's not worth anything, it's not. You know, if it's a total loss, it's not a big deal. Yeah, that's no problem about your car.
If you run into those cars,
but if you run into one of those cars, can you afford to spend $500,000 on a car? Well, not even in that extent, but, you know, third-party fire and theft, that means if you... This was actually the best example, which actually was a story I heard when I did used to work in insurance. So a customer had his car, was just a beat-up Commodore or something on those lines, and he only had third-party fire and theft on the car.
Yeah.
Now, as he was driving, believe it or not, his car broke down, and it was over some train tracks.
Oh.
It would not start. There was an oncoming train carrying hazardous waste. Obviously, the car did not start.
He jumped out?
He jumped out. He was fine. The train was derailed.
Okay. So
are you sure
hit the Commodore?
Hit whichever car it was. Yeah. The train ended up getting derailed and obviously spilt this hazardous waste.
Are you sure this isn't the start of a superhero movie?
Not quite. He didn't get superpowers.
There wasn't a 5-year-old kid there getting covered in the waste.
No.
That was the only part missing.
It went down a
train.
A train and it hit the turtles.
Exactly. No. Well, look, end of the story. The guy did have insurance. Had third party, which does cover public liability.
20 million most times.
Yep, exactly. It ended up being $8 million worth of damage was done.
Far out.
He paid his excess of $650, and insurance covered the rest.
No way.
Which that is what insurance is there for. Which you could imagine that he would be paying his insurance from then on out.
A lot more.
And would be more than happy to pay for it as well. Because if that happened to any of us here, I can tell you right now, that's declare bankruptcy and
lose your house,
lose everything you own because you're not paying that back.
No,
like they'd even take your pet mouse.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's $1.50, mate. We need that.
Dude, they're taking the mouse out underneath your house. Like
the mouse put in the sewer and then it gets superpowers from the sludge that you.
Exactly, but look, end of the day, you know, it may not be the matter of your car. It's about everybody else's, and you know, for everything else which is out there, you know, and for these days, for $200, $300, $400, $500, whatever it may be, for third party only, I can tell you which one you'd rather be paying $500 instead of $8 million in that instance.
And I know so many people that drive without insurance. I'm like, how do you do it? Like, this is crazy.
And that's such an important thing, Anthony, as you said. Like, yes, if your car isn't worth $200 or something, that's fine. You should still get the third party in case you hit something else that's worth a lot more. Yep. We had a family friend in New Zealand when we used to live there.
Trace.
He was, living, let's just say, on government income.
Okay.
And, he was part of the old crew of people that said, what's insurance? I don't know what insurance is. And he ended up hitting a Mercedes.
Wow.
And
had to pay it out?
One thing, when you've got no income, it's a little bit easier and you're living on rent. So they developed a kind of payment plan for him. So part of his dole would essentially go to repay the car for what appeared to be the rest of his life, I think. They calculated it to, given the amount of money. So, I'm sure he's still alive at this point. Possibly he's gotten a job, and even if he gets a job, once again, more of his money will start going into paying off the Merc. Do you really want that? Like, most people plan on living to, I'd say, 80-ish or more. Do you really want something hanging over your head every day of your life saying, because you couldn't spend, $300 on third party? Yeah. You know, you pay now, $50 a week for the rest of your entire life?
Nah, stuff that. Well, I've only got third party fire and theft on Laser, and it's a car that's worth, let's say, $2,000 to $3,000 max. $3,000 if it was perfect. My old Laser, which was like a $500 car, I still had third party on it, and I said, my mum was like to me, she's like, the day I picked up the car, she wouldn't let me drive it until we were on the phone with the insurance company and put it on. She's like, it doesn't matter how good of a driver you are, anything can happen, and even if you're in a complete utter shit box, it doesn't matter. You're covering your ass. It's a $300. That is an insurance that you do need, and sure enough,
just for the convenience as well.
Yeah.
Even like you've got 3 cars, and every time one of them has a problem, it's a huge pain in the ass for you.
Yeah.
You have to like rechange your whole
Life.
yeah. So you can imagine, even if your car costs $100, you're like, oh, I'm not going to spend any money on it. Who cares? But it's like if something happens to that car and you don't have insurance, it's like, well, now you have to restructure your whole life based on trying to get another car or trying to fix it or whatever.
You know, I've heard people that they've said to me, oh, you know, they don't need insurance because, you know, they've got God on their side or whatever. You don't know. Yeah, it doesn't matter what you've got on your side. Things happen, and
it's called having an accident for a reason, not on purpose. And
yes.
if it is, then you've probably got other bigger
Issues.
things to worry about.
I won't hate on a person for their religion, but unfortunately,
Yeah, I'm not either. I'm just
unfortunately,
like,
God doesn't write checks. So that's where in the world we live in, a lot of problems are solved with money, and religion doesn't pay, unfortunately.
No,
unless you're at the top. And that's our discussion we're going to get into.
Does the Pope Mobile have insurance, or are they just like, nah, God will protect me?
I'm pretty sure it's like, we got enough money anyway.
Yeah. Do you accept a gold bullion? Do you accept diamond encrusted stuff?
They have an 8-fold excellence saying, we forgive you sins. That's it. That's it. Just bless the car and move on.
no, look, so I'm not having a go at people that say that, but people are like, oh, you don't need insurance, or, you know, I've got the TAC insurance that comes with your... No, that doesn't cover you.
That's for physical
That's
injury.
for physical injury, yeah. So
exactly.
These are excuses that I've heard from people. Like when I've went to drive their car, they're like, "Yeah, you can drive." I'm like, "You got insurance?" They're like, "Oh, I've got you know, TSC." I'm like, "That's not insurance. I'm not driving a car." Or you know, they've said when I can't afford it, and they've got like really expensive cars. I'm like, "How do you?" No BS. A few mates of mine have like had like really expensive like high performance high end cars. They'd park it in Broadmeadows, park it anywhere, no insurance. I'm like, this is insane.
They spent it all in the car, and then they didn't think about the running costs.
Get third party. It's $300.
Which is how you go broke. It's
insane.
like, I'll spend $1 million on a house, but I don't have any money for insurance, land tax, paying water bill, power
Paying
bill.
the rates so they're not taking your bins.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, it's one of those things. So we'll be right back after. We're gonna go to another break. We'll be right back after this. You're back on CarTorque with Matty J. Been an interesting topic tonight, guys. We're talking about i30s, the MyF6, Bill Shorten, politics.
Billy Shorts.
Billy Shorts. Get around Billy Shorts. It's gonna be a thing now. Get around the Shorts.
Everyone hates Billy Shorts. He's like, oh no, he's not going to win because he's not likable. I love Billy Shorts.
The big Billy Shorts.
Lesser of two evils.
Get around.
At the end of the day, it's still a politician.
Yeah, true, but he's not actively trying to destroy us. Like,
oh look, don't get me wrong. I'm not not a liberal supporter, not by any stretch of the imagination, especially me being in a trade. But yeah, again, at the end of the day, they're all politicians. They're all pretty terrible.
But
let's be honest.
like we said, always your vote counts. Don't let that deter you from being like, oh, it's both the same. A lot of people are just like, oh, they're both the same. Who cares?
They all make a big difference.
Actually, do some research, people. Vote for...
research is key.
Vote for who you think should... And
informed.
Like, you know, just an informed decision. Don't, as you said, don't vote because the fish and chip guy said so.
Don't vote because you like the colour of the party.
Yeah.
Like, just that's a valid reason. Well, some people use it as a valid reason of, you know, I like them because they're blue. It's the dumbest thing I've heard, but...
Well, it's like I said, people don't like...
Those people probably shouldn't vote.
What they do,
They have the right to, and they're forced to.
Yeah, but people say, I don't like Bill Shorten because of his head or whatever. And I'm just like, well, who cares about his head? He could be a green alien man as long as his policies are good and he's going to help the country.
And actually follows through with his policies, which a lot of parties don't seem to.
Yeah.
Like said, individuals currently, you know.
So I'd vote for the inanimate carbon rod or...
Or
whatever, so...
Oh, jeez. Talking politics on a car show. What the hell are you doing?
It's important. Like we said, it's important
it's
important to the car industry and the car enthusiasts listening.
Yes, it is.
And speaking on a little more semi-politics, for people here in Melbourne, parking in the CBD is jumping up about 27%.
What?
Yes, that's part of...
on street parking or in like actual car parks?
I believe it's general street parking.
What?
And it's like a
That's
lot of
insane.
Like centrally, you're limited to about 1 hour, and it's about $7 for the 1 hour.
So what's going to go to like over $10?
I think with the increase, it's now $7 for the hour.
That's insane.
They say don't park in the CBD. Well, private parkings obviously will have different rates, but
Well, they're going to jump up as well now. Because
they'll probably jump up as well, without a doubt. But yeah, just I guess avoid taking your car into the CBD. I mean, a lot of it's now blocked off to cars anyway, like Swanston Street and everything else. But sometimes you just got to take your car.
yeah.
Like you just do, and you can't help it.
Screw public transport. I refuse. I refuse to use it. Yeah, that's insane. I can't believe they've jumped it up that much.
And it's the first jump. Well, one of the excuses was it's the first jump since 2013, but just up 27% in one go is quite
excessive.
Yeah, quite excessive.
Not a good time. Not a good time. Before we end up on the show, we did talk about customer cars and coffee on the Sunday edition, but we didn't really say about the type of cars we saw there, like our favourite cars. Well, we didn't give a favourite listing. So you guys weren't there, but it was quite a big event actually, and there was some really, really interesting cars. There was a lady who couldn't park in an Aston, kept riding the clutch, terribly riding the clutch.
Hey, it's better riding the clutch than smashing into one of the other cars.
Fair point.
Yeah, and plus, given that she's driving an Aston, I'm pretty sure she can afford a new clutch.
Yeah, fair point. But there was that. There was a few other really, really cool cars. That AU was spectacular. Alan pointed out the AU. Because I know how much you love AUs, Alan.
It was okay.
It was okay. What else did they have? They had good range. They had Euros, they had exotics, they had Australian cars. They had a good mix. It was really, really obviously Japanese cars. So there was they even had the Car Advice stand, which was pretty cool. So as we said, we spoke with Paul Marek from Car Advice. But they really had a whole bunch of cars. But I couldn't believe the Porsche they had there with the PDK. PDK was a $6,000 option or $4,000 option? We're looking at the spec sheet. I think it was Riz and I don't know if you were there at the time.
I don't think I was, but that is
just for the dual clutch. It's a $4,000 something option, and like the car was like $100 and something grand, and then it jumped up to a $210,000 car. Like we just with a few options. Insane.
Porsche life.
Yeah.
Like like $1,000 option would probably be like tire pressure monitoring. It's $1,000 because it's a Porsche.
Yeah,
instead of just going onto eBay and buying like little tire monitoring things.
$30
they did that in an episode of Mighty Car Mods, where I think it was
they did too.
Mechanical Sticks Porsche.
Yep.
Ended up putting their own tire monitoring system, which is considerably cheaper.
And it worked.
Yeah.
Worked.
Matt actually had tire monitoring on the Caldina, except for that one. There was literally. You screw it on and have it set at your pressure, and as long as it stays at that pressure, it has a green indicator.
Yeah.
And if it drops below it, then the green indicator isn't there, and I think that was like $2.
What's pretty
technically, it's tyre monitoring.
Yeah, it still works.
Yeah, and if you chucked it on a Porsche, I think you're still going to be getting the same results.
But yeah, crazy amount of pricing for those options. But yeah, I think one of my favourite cars there was one of the SLR 5000 Tiranas. It was sick. There was a yellow one with old school wheels on it. It looked mad. Full flared arches. Really cool old Aussie muscle car. I was a big fan of that. A few GDFs. But my other favourite car was the W124. That looks exactly like mine. Same colour. It actually kind of looks good in that colour because the paint wasn't all faded and peeling. So I was thinking maybe I could do that.
Rattle can.
Yeah, or rattle can it. But it was
better again. Get AstroTurf.
Speak of green.
Yeah, just AstroTurf it. I'm pretty sure I actually saw a Honda Civic that was Astro. It was for sale recently on Gumtree, and I think the guy was asking $2,000. I don't know why anybody would actually.
He knew what he had, all right.
He was setting the trend.
No lowball offers.
No, he knows what he's got. No lowball offers. We were confused. We'll happily take offers of a Ferrari as a trade.
Good price.
Swaps for a Type R Integra with money his way.
But he's
This is high grade AstroTurf we're talking about here.
It's probably more worthwhile than the car.
It really is.
No, but that W124 kind of G'd me up to get mine painted. I'm probably just going to do the same colour because it's a nice colour. It is really good. But that one was really lovely. It had the full leather, and it was a 300E 24 valve, so it came with the more expensive twin cam engine, which is a bit more desirable, a lot more power than my kind of boat. But it was lowered. It sat nice on some really nice wheels. It kind of G'd me up to do my car.
Now, would you do that, or would you actually modify the F6 and try and keep up with certain individuals in this radio station right now?
Shut up, man.
He's banned from the show from now on. I think
you guys will still have me down here.
my car for that morning was probably the Il Camaro SS we saw.
Yeah,
The manual?
that was nice. Yeah,
That
a
looked
lovely
very
car.
nice, and
It was a 68, I think it was.
it looked lovely. And we actually discussed, even though I'd love quite a lot to have an old Mustang, if I was given the option between an old Mustang or an old Camaro SS, take that Camaro.
100%, hands down. Hands down. What would you take, Anthony?
Between Camaro and a...
Yeah. Like year for year, like 60s Mustang or 60s Camaro.
Probably go Camaro.
Yeah.
Yeah. You don't see too many of them around again.
No.
You always see the Mustangs. They always get redone.
Yeah.
Don't see Camaros.
Mr. James?
Probably same. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm all about that.
Unless it's like a Bullet Mustang or something.
Yeah, Bullet Mustang's cool.
That's an exception though.
But we just like for like basic V8 basic V8.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd be taking that.
Now, while we're still on the topic of the Camaros, have you guys heard the news about the most recent Camaro?
Yes, 90 grand, all automatic,
Yes, no manual option.
no manual option as of yet. Well, possibly never, which is completely making the Camaro, the new Camaro here, a pointless car.
Yep.
Yep. It's a muscle car. It should be.
Have a manual option.
Yeah. I mean, that's what you want.
It should really just be the case. If it is a performance car, majority of performance car people normally drive a manual car.
Yeah, especially with like a sports-oriented car like that.
Yeah, exactly. So just give us a clutch.
It's all we're asking for, GM. It's all we're asking for HSV, because it's HSV that's doing the changes. And I was reading the comments
So
about that.
they doing ZR ones or
No, they're just doing standard Camaro SSs.
so they're selling SS and automatic only for 90 grand,
Upwards of 90 grand.
and they expect that to sell against a Mustang.
Ain't gonna happen. I reckon it's like, and I mean HSV is just doing them, and they're doing mods to Colorados and trucks, which is
So
fine.
just dicking around.
It's what Tickford's doing, but still, it's 30 grand too much for a car that's got no extra power or beneficial gain to a Mustang, and you can't get it in a manual. So really kind of annoying and crap. But look, Anthony, you're going away for a few weeks, so this is probably you're going to be your last show for a while, right?
Yeah, we'll be the last one for a bit of time.
So you're going overseas. So
Yep.
have a good time. Be safe.
We'll do.
Hopefully he gets jailed and doesn't come back to the show.
we can really
You can
hope.
do Skype. You can be on the show over Skype.
It's like a prison Skype.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, look. Let's be honest. I'm pretty sure I can survive in Scandinavia. Just all those.
Volvo life.
Yeah, exactly. 142s and P1800s.
Yeah, hell yeah for P1800.
Well, actually, speaking of Volvo, I will be going to the Volvo museum.
Cool.
And going through that one there with my brother, as he does work for Volvo. So I get good access there.
Bring us back a P1800 for the show. You can do it, Anthony.
It'll fit in my luggage. Carry on.
Carry on, yeah, done. But we're over time. Actually, we're going to end the show. It's been CarTorque with Matty J. Tune in every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. for live here on 98.9 Northwest FM. Actually, hang on, we're going to be off air for a while.
I think next week we're in studio,
but the week after
week after they're doing renovations. So in a couple of weeks, we'll probably just do the podcast at home.
Yeah, so we'll be doing 2 podcasts from my place. Like and share our Facebook page, just CarTorque, TORQUE with Matty J. James, give your show a quick plug.
Man vs. Movies, Tuesday 6 p.m, 98.9 Northwest FM. Like and share the Man vs. Movies Facebook page, and you can find the podcast on iTunes, Shout Engine, or on your regular podcasting app.
Anthony, you want to give a shout out to your brother to put the Kievs in?
Yeah, legitimately, we might put them in the oven. I'm getting hungry. I know you just finished up at the gym and went down to the shops, but yeah, when you get that, legitimately put the Kievs in the oven. This is
It's
not
the
just
most
a one
important part of the show.
Yeah, this isn't a one line.
Life and death.
I'm getting hungry. I've already been to the gym. I had a bagel before I came here. Legitimately put the Kievs in the oven.
Alan, got any plugs?
Well, we'll do Riz's plug for
Yeah, Carloop.
Carloop AU. If you're looking to buy a new car, Carloop is a service that kind of bypasses the dealers and frees you from all the bullcrap of going to a dealership, doing the negotiations.
It's free advice
And yeah, free advice.
for the people in the community here.
And it's a great service that can get you, the car you want for the price you want. within reason, of course.
Yeah.
And, it's by a great guy, Riz, a friend of the show.
Yeah.
And so facebook.com/carloopau. Hit him up if you need some information.
Yeah, it's free advice. We always promote free stuff here on Community Radio. Like and share our Facebook page, as I previously mentioned. If you miss any of our podcasts, they're all up on there. If you Google and on Chat Engine, and we're also on iTunes. So subscribe, rate, and review. Give Dr. Rock's show a listen on Thursday night with Thursday Waffle with his mate Daz, as well as free show on Monday night for your pleasure. Thanks again, gentlemen, for coming in.
Thank you.
Good.
It's always a pleasure.
And I'll see you guys on next week. Take it easy.
This is professional radio, gentlemen.
And
it's front-wheel drive.
Scotty, have you got anyone you want to thank?
Just myself.
And now we do the after hours. Dun, dun, dun.
Gentlemen, what would you go for?
Dacia Sandero.
Okay, and because it's not a supercar.
But it is.
It's not.
Automotive perfection comes in the form of two letters, A and U.
Long live my LTD!